They're all special award winners from last year's sales kickoff. So we have our Rookie of the Year, our Breakout Agent of the Year, and our Openite of the Year. And so I'll let actually each of you just introduce yourselves, your name, where you're working, a little bit like that, and then we'll go into the questions. Let's start with Darius.
Okay, because I'm the rookie, I'm starting. Actually, I'm Darius Saber with background of civil engineering and project management. I have a master's degree in project management and construction. And I worked here as a construction project manager for a couple of years, then switched to real estate because it was my passion from the beginning.
I'm Francesco DeFrenza. I'm 49 years old. Been in the industry about 12 years now. Prior to becoming a realtor, I actually played professional hockey in Europe for 14 years. Didn't make enough money, so I had to get a real job. So not as impressive as Darius, but yeah, so that's where I'm at now. Yep.
I'm Elaine Andrews. I'm 63 years old. I got you guys all beat. I've been in the business now for about 23 years. Previous to that was a single mom. So that was ridiculously tough times. I was in telecom, and telecom was a crazy ride at that point in time. Didn't like it, always looked towards real estate, but I didn't feel comfortable to take that step and commitment and maybe have the faith in myself that I would be able to support the family and continue to pay the mortgage. Luckily, met my husband. At about the same time, I got packaged out of my last job, and then just sort of took the plunge into real estate, and that was 2003.
Great.
Okay.
Time flies by.
It does.
It does, believe me.
2003.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on it, but if you wouldn't mind each telling us about your start in the industry and what inspired you to get into real estate specifically. Start with Darius.
Okay, so actually I love to do real estate. As an engineer back home as well, I help my friends for the real estate transaction for free. I just get them advice. And if there is something that you can do it for free, is your passion, and you can do it for charges for commission as well. Yeah. And yeah, it comes from that side. After being in 2019, I want to purchase my own unit here in Vancouver. And you know who was my agent?
Who?
It was Paris Minapur from the Openite of the Year last year.
Yeah, yeah.
And I learned the procedure from her. It was amazing to me because it's totally different from back home. So I learned from her, and it was great to know, oh, this is agent. We have agent from buyer side, another agent for seller side. What is the procedure? And she did a great job, explain every steps to me. So I think it's time to get into real estate now.
You were inspired.
Exactly. I switched. I'm thinking I'm doing the same thing for someone else in this room as well. If yeah, yep. Do you want to mention it? Yeah, yeah. I helped her as an agent to purchase her unit, and now she's here. Which I'm proud of her. She's great at her job and doing the best.
That's the last transaction you're going to do for her then.
Exactly, yes, it is. It is the last one.
Yeah, so like I said, I got into real estate about 12 years ago. I had retired from my profession and I was 35 years old, and I'm like, oh geez, what am I going to do the rest of my life? So it took me, a few months, I would say a good 5 or 6 months, kind of thinking and worrying what I was going to do. I had a good friend of mine that was a realtor, and he was pretty successful. And he said to me, he goes, Francesco, you're good with people, and I saw what he does and how he does it. I loved the fact that it's flexible. I love the fact that you weren't in a 9-to-5 situation, even though obviously the cliche is we work way more than 9 to 5, and it's true. But I wasn't a desk guy. You know, doing one thing my whole life, I wasn't prepared to do something exact opposite, right? So yeah, I got into real estate, and to this day, I think my best attribute as a realtor is it was from because I played a team sport, and not every year or on every team do you get along with 20 new people that you're teammates with, but you learn how to deal with different personalities. And now in this industry, that's all you deal with is personalities. So like I said, one of my best attributes is really reading somebody and kind of knowing what kind of personality they have, like right away. Like, is this somebody that's analytical? Okay, well, if I'm talking business with them, I'm bringing them numbers. Is this somebody that, you know, is probably gonna be offended if I'm trying to educate them in real estate? Well, then I kind of step back and I let them talk. You know what I'm saying? So you learn these personalities so you don't bump heads, because if you bump heads too often, you know, if you have kids, they're gonna be really skinny. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how I got started.
I like that. That's very true. You know, what you just said about reading people and your ability to do that. That's a big part of the job. And I think I'm just you know, going to jump in on that just to say, I think that's a skill that some people comes naturally, and for other people, it takes time to sort of learn that. And you know, and we can't always be right when you're trying to read people either. But
no.
I do think that's a really important part of the job. For me, I gave you a little bit of a background. I was a single mom, met my husband, lost my job, and actually what I started doing, just coming back to me now, was I went into, this is before we had the iPhone. It's so old, right? But we didn't have the iPhone. And none of you will remember how real estate used to be. You used to have a green book. Do you remember that? There was
I cannot remember.
MLS book. And in order to find out what was on the market, it came out once a week, so it was always late. Came out once a week, and then you would have this book, and that's how you'd see what was going on. And then it came on the computer, so you'd go in your office, and you'd go and see in your office what was coming on, and then you'd go out, but you wouldn't have access to what was in your office. So there was a company called Executive Wireless, and they created this on a Palm Pilot. They created a really cool program. Because I'd come from telecommunications and data, I decided to sell this little product to realtors. So what I had to do was come into offices like this with this little product and educate them on technology and try and sell them this little thing. If I sold it,
thing called the internet.
yeah. And it was like, you know, and it was honestly, it was so new. And they were like, you know, and there was a lot of old realtors. I came from North Van, West Van, and I'd go in the office and I did my little pitch. And if for everyone I sold, I got $100, and they were $2,000. And for everyone I sold I got $100. That was the deal. And I did it, and I was like their top salesperson in like 1 month. They'd been in business for almost a year, and they'd been selling it for 6 months with no luck. And I was this top salesperson. I met so many realtors. I saw the cultures of the office. I saw what was going on. I thought, okay, I can do better than most of them. I sold a couple houses of my own with my friend realtor who was very successful, who was completely useless at service. And I thought, I can do this. And jumped in at that point with my husband going, I mean, instead of getting $100 a transaction, get a few $1,000s a transaction. And really that was why I made the switch.
Wonderful. So, when you first started, what apprehensions did you have before becoming a real estate agent? What kind of was maybe something that made you think, maybe this isn't for me? What were you nervous about? What were you afraid of? And then how did you deal with that? Was it what you thought it was going to be, or even apprehensions that you had maybe right after you got licensed? Can you speak to any of those feelings, worries, anxieties?
Yeah. For me, it was cash flow. If I can be successful for my cash flow. And I was prepared for that actually. For a couple of months, for the first couple of months, I did nothing, zero commission. It takes 10 months, nothing. But I was prepared for that. And then I go back to try to build up. First transaction helped me to go for that. And now I have to go for budgeting, how I can use this for marketing, for everything else. And then it comes up.
Because even once you get your first deal,
Yeah.
how you spend that money.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
important. It's very important for the first, I can say for first 3 years, you have to be very prudent with your budgeting. But after that, you have lots of clients. You can be outbreaks or lots of something like that, and you don't have any appreciation for what the cash flow or something like that. But yeah, that was for me, for the cash flow.
So yeah, to that point as well, I remember my first year in real estate. I think it's either $28,000 or $32,000 is what I made in my first year in real estate, and I was 35, 36 years old. And so that's tough. I mean, going through a whole year, you know, at that age, you're not still living potentially with mom and dad. You know, you have a place, you got mortgages, you got car payments, you got brokerage payments, you got all that stuff. So that was really tough, getting through that. And I think, you know, in general, the failure rate with realtors, I think that's probably, I would think the biggest aspect. It's not the difficulty and the day-to-day, it's just you sometimes run out of money if you're not prepared, right? So yeah, like Darius said, like be prepared for that aspect of it for sure. Other than that, the first year, I didn't have any apprehension before I started. It was, like I said, after I started, realizing, yes, obviously your sphere of influence, all the people you know, your newsletters, and things of that nature are great to have. But from my experience, people are, whether it's family or not, are probably going to use agents that they've used in the past and they feel comfortable with. If somebody's done a good job for somebody, they see no reason to change, even if it's my cousin that's a realtor now. And for me, being, you know, again, I don't want to keep reiterating that coming from a team atmosphere, loyalty was huge. So when that happened to me, it crushed me. Like, how does this person not use me for a transaction when they know I'm a new realtor and I probably need it, right? So once you get over that aspect of it, then I would say from that point on, it didn't bother me anymore because I knew you know, it was just business. And I've probably done, in the 12 years, 90 to 95% of my business with people I've never met before. And that other 5% are going to be your longtime friends. Maybe they'll come, now that they'll see, hey, he or she is not what they used to do anymore. They're actually a real estate agent and they know what they're doing. I'm going to use them now, you know? So trust is a huge factor. So I would say, don't count on family and friends. Go and get people that you've never met before, because I think that's going to be your bread and butter at the end of the day.
That's great advice.
Exactly.
Elaine?
Yeah.
Exactly, it was.
Yeah.
So
It was
the
to
question
me
was about anxiety starting. And
Yeah,
that
like
kind of stuff, right? Okay.
things that you were nervous about,
Yeah.
things that you didn't realize would be as hard as they were, or even just apprehensions about starting.
Well, my mother said to me, who's now passed away, she said, "Oh, Elaine, I just remember our neighbor next door, and she got her real estate license, and she was all excited. She got her business cards, and then she said, you know, I'm a real estate agent, and then month after month, she got no business, and then she like gave it up, and that was my mom's inspirational chat." I'm like, yeah, right, thanks, Mom. And I would, but I didn't let that. You can't let the downers in the world stop you. So I didn't. My first full year of real estate, I remember I did 150 grand, and I was lucky enough to be the rookie of the year. at that time was Prudential Sussex in West Vancouver. So my apprehension, what plagued me and sometimes still plagues me is insecurity. Why pick me? I'd go out there to do the business, I'd do a presentation, I'd be nervous, and I'd think, why are they going to pick me over somebody else? And so that was the hardest thing for me to get over, to have the confidence. You know, confidence, some people walk out the door with it. I didn't. And, you know, I had to build up that confidence in myself and believing in myself. That was tough. But I'm going to say that was my biggest anxiety.
How have you gotten better at that over the years? Is it like something that you're still working on?
I am still working on it. You know, I got Oakland of the Year. I'm like, really? like, why me? You know, I didn't. You know, sometimes I feel like, you know, like I don't deserve the accolades. And sometimes I look at the paycheck and I think I don't deserve that. Like, you know, I mean, I do. I look at it and I go, oh my gosh, like. Brent, I work with my son. He looks at the numbers all the time. I never look at the numbers. And then my husband will go, oh, look how much money we've made. I'm going, oh my gosh, really? Like, where did that come from? I'm just like sort of focused on what I'm doing. I think just from obviously years of seeing the success, feeling the success, getting over the anxiety of that and just feeling confident. Now, I mean, I think being older for me helps. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm 63, I don't give a shit so much anymore. I'm not worried about that. You know, I really don't. Whereas I was more worried about that when I was younger. So I think, you know, if there's any fast track to getting that through that, especially as women, it is a man's business, and we talked about that. And I hate to say that, but it very much is, especially in my market where I'm at in West Vancouver. So, you know, you have to believe in yourself, and it's not always easy, but yeah, it's something you continually work on. Maybe it's by reading inspiration. Maybe it's by joining up with great people who make you feel good and getting rid of the people who don't make you feel good, realizing not everyone's going to be your client. And if they're not going to be your client, that's okay. You know, move along to the next one. Stick with the people who believe in you.
Beautiful. That's great advice.
Can I just add something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys and girls, sorry. You have no idea how lucky you guys all are to be able to, even, not because of us three, but to be able to chat with people and get ideas and things of that nature. To belong to a brokerage like Oakwyn, and I'm not getting paid to say this, believe me. I literally was at another brokerage that you could say old school. I'm not going to mention what it is, but Sutton. So when people ask me how I like Oakwyn, the only thing I can really say to them is I feel like I went from a Motorola flip phone to an iPhone 16 or 116, whatever we're at in iPhones. It's that much of a difference. Just the resources, the inclusiveness, the progressiveness of our brokerage is second to none, and I just want you guys all to know that, because you're so lucky to have things like this. Because when I started, and I'm only 12 years ago, there was still nothing like this. You're like, here's your license. You don't know how to write a contract yet, but best of luck to you. You know what I mean? So now you guys have so much more at your disposal to become great agents.
That is what it was like. We had nothing like Oakwyn University. There, you guys are super lucky to have that. Shovel? Okay. It is, you know, basically it was like, yeah, you're going out there and like, oh my God, now I'm running a contract. No idea what you're doing. There wasn't the same, and even the board, like, of course, has changed quite a bit now, where it's far more training. But anyway, I agree. Yeah.
Wonderful. And it really is a testament to the three of you. You know, we're so lucky at Oakwyn to have such amazing top producing agents that are open to collaborating and sharing. And yeah, they're not getting paid. They're all busy people that wanted to come here and share their experiences. So thank you. Darius, As Rookie of the Year, and just to clarify what Rookie of the Year means, it's the agent with the highest earnings on their first calendar year as a real estate agent. So it was also a challenging market in 2023.
Exactly, yes.
What would you say led, if you could summarize, what would you say led to finding success, especially having it sounds like a very slow start, not very slow, but a slow start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, what I can tell as a challenge, it's something that I was so perfectionist. It's not good to be perfectionist. Just do it. This is what I learned from my first year. I talk to people, back to my community that I come from, the community from engineering side, from the project management side, and then I will find some clients there. This is the thing. You have to stay out. You have to bring yourself to people. People don't go to discover you. Don't stay at home. Attend every event that you can go. You know, I can tell some agents when I win the Rookie of the Year in that hall, they said, "Hey, it was your first year? You was just a rookie?" Because they saw me many times in many different events. And then I pick up some clients somewhere else as well. This is the thing. Don't be a perfectionist. For my side, it was just do it. Start to do it to be perfect, not to be perfect to do it. This is the thing.
I can attest to that. I obviously go to every Oakland event, and when Darius started, I was like, this guy's at everything. So I was very pleased to see that paid off.
Yeah, thank you.
Same question, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That was one.
He's not rookie.
No, but it's,
As
yeah.
Breakout Agent of the Year,
Oh, okay.
and to clarify what Breakout Agent means, it's the agent who had the highest jump in earnings from one year to the next. So we don't usually pick like someone who obviously, not obviously after their rookie year or anything like that, but a career agent who has gone from a significant jump in earnings. And I will say, you've always done well, but you had an extra great year, that good to great leap. What would you say contributed to that, especially, like I said, in what was maybe not the best year in Vancouver real estate?
Yeah, I mean, you always feel, and I talk to, you know, I'm with Oakland Northwest in Burnaby with Jenny, and we have discussions all the time, and she tells me almost daily to get out of my own head. Because as a realtor, every January 1st, you're like, shit, am I gonna get as lucky next year? Right? Every year you think the same, it's like climbing Everest in bowling shoes. Like, am I gonna get to the top here? But the more you do, the more the snowball happens, and it comes, obviously. For last year, I really believe, and it's almost like I feel bad saying it, it was probably because of the pandemic. During the pandemic, you know, everybody was home. And I called people because I knew they would be home. And you know, obviously, before that, I'm a big door knocker. Like, I like to be in front of people. You know, I'm a sarcastic ass, obviously. And I like to be in front and just chat, right? And you can get rapport, especially an area that you farm and send flyers to and maybe live in. But obviously, during the pandemic, you couldn't do that, but they were home. So I got on the phone and I called and called and called. I set aside probably 2 or 3 hours every day for, I don't know how long, the couple months, I guess, that we were kind of shut down. So I think I did 4 or 5 deals last year for people that I called throughout the pandemic because they wanted to talk. They hadn't seen anybody. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, you know, now maybe those same people would slam the phone down on me, but they wanted to chit chat and talk, and you know, you created that rapport with them. So I think that had a big, you know, it was a big aspect of how I had a good year last year. Obviously, I mean, I dabble in commercial as well, and again, I got lucky with a client that I've done other deals with. they sold quite a large parcel last year and trusted me to represent them, and we got that done. So that happened as well. So, I mean, you know, as hard as you work, no matter who you are, you still need that odd phone call that you weren't expecting, right? To get you through those mortgage payments, especially nowadays.
Dear.
Just one follow-up question,
Yeah.
because door knocking,
Yeah.
calling someone you don't know, both of those things, that's something that is obviously can be very scary to most people.
Yeah.
What would you say is your number one piece of advice, either over on the phone or in person?
Well, like I said, I like to door knock more than I like to phone call. I phone because there was nothing else to do. So I don't really want to speak on calling, but I can speak on door knocking.
Yeah.
So the door knocking, I always like to go with maybe an MLS sheet of something that sold in that neighborhood. Best being an Oakland agent or our brokerage that sold it. That's the top, because you can go there and, hey, we just sold. You know what I mean? You don't have to say I just sold. We just sold so-and-so down the street, and you know, you're giving them some value. You're highlighting the sold price. And you're not just knocking saying, hey, do you want to sell your house? You know what I mean? There's a difference there. You're giving them value. And then during that communication, you can see, hey, does this person want to chat? Yeah, let's chat. Are they smiling? Are they, you know what I mean? So if not, hey, just, and get the heck out of there, right? But if they want to chat as long as they'll have you on their doorstep. And if you do have those long chats with them, jot down that address, go home, go to Starbucks, get a $5 Starbucks card, right? Put it in the, hey, thanks for the chat, with your card inside there again, and you mail it to them, right? They keep it, they remember you. $5 Starbucks card could go a long way and make you 10 grand one day. So, and it's a write-off. No tax advice, but yeah. So I mean, you can almost use it as a game. So I didn't really answer your question of how you get over, but you can almost use use it as a game to, you know, don't get scared, but bring them some value.
That's great. So Elaine, you were Openite of the Year, and to clarify what that means is Openite of the Year, it's the only award that we give out that's not for sales kickoffs. That's not based on earnings or anything like that. That being said, she's a very successful agent year after year. It's based off of agent who most exemplifies Oakwin's core values. So what can you say about the community at Oakwin, and how would you say agent relationships that you've had over time have affected your career? Because I know for a lot of people it's like...
That's a two-part question,
Yeah.
so, and that's good. I'm glad you asked that second question. I'll start with the first one. We had been, so at this point in time, 2020, I had built a team. I worked with my son and daughter, which is good and bad, but mostly good. And we were, I don't mind saying, like you were at Sutton, I was at Royal LePage Sussex. It had swallowed the brokerage I was with before, which was Prudential Sussex. And I honestly didn't think the brokerage mattered. I've watched people switch brokerages often. Some of them like one after another. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they looking for? Like, what do they think that's going to change? Because I see this is all about, you know, what I bring to the table. And I didn't put much value in the brokerage for the same reasons as Francesca's saying, is that they weren't really giving us anything. So, you know, you kind of were like, here, out you go. You've got a license, out you go. And so we built our business, you know, on our own merits. I did like my managing broker. My managing broker passed away, and then they parachuted in a bunch of managing brokers when it became Royal LePage Sussex. But where it really turned the tides was 2020. And I think when the pandemic hit, everybody just was like, deer in the headlights, what the heck is going on, right? I think that's such an important time in people's lives. When you're hit with a great tragedy or a huge change in your lives, how do you respond? I think that's a big thing for us all the time. It's gonna happen to all of us. How do I respond? It's not what happens to me, it's how do you respond to it, right? So Royal LePage decided to shut the doors. Like they basically shut the doors on people. And I was lucky because I had built an office on our property. We were totally self-sufficient. But people couldn't get in the office. They couldn't get their files. They had no support. They had no photocopying. We had all that stuff. They had nothing. And so, of course, there was some protests. And some of them said, well, like, what are we going to, like, are you going to drop our fees? And they're like, oh, no. So like they kept the fees up and people were paying for offices that they weren't even in. Then they started getting rid of people. It was a great opportunity for some people to cut the fat, right? And they got rid of two of our long-term conveyance gals because clearly they were making the most money, and they had the two gals who knew the least about conveyance were running the office, and they cut so many people. And I had been with the company for so long, I just went, wow, that's really, it's time to move. My kids have been going Oakwin, Oakwin, Oakwin. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. And then I started going, well, if we're going to change, I'm going to look at them. So I started, and I talked with Michael, and I talked with the other ones. And I went, anyone who talks to Michael, he's so warm and sweet and wonderful. You're like, and he really cared. And what Oakwin did during that time is they stepped up and leaned into their people. And that was unusual. And so I went, yeah, well, that's good enough for me. And when we came over, the change for me personally, I'm really proud to be part of Oakwin. I'm super proud to be Oakwin. I still don't know why, but I'm really happy with how the community here is all together, that you guys are here and that you can talk to us, and that everybody feels, when I see Oakwin on a listing, I'm like, oh good, it's an Oakwin. Like, I really do. I go, good, it's Oakwin. It really makes a difference. And then your second question about
agent relationships.
Agent relationships. When I first started, being completely new and at that point on my own, and I want to add that, it is a lonesome business. So when you have a community behind you, it's not so lonesome. That makes a big difference, right? When I started, I saw all the other agents as my competition. And I kind of thought, well, this is my listing, and I'm going to control it all. And then it took me a couple years to realize, you know what, these people are the people you're going to do business with. These are the people you're going to be negotiating with. Make it easy for them, they'll make it easy for you. Do a favor for them, they'll do a favor for you. And it really, what goes around comes around. What you give, you get back. So, compliment an agent when they do a great job. Be so thankful when they do you a favor. Send them a little note. Just phone them up. I saw a couple of agents because in the newspaper their parents had died. I just phoned them up and said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." Those people remember you when it comes down to can I get into your listing and no one's getting in. They're going to go, "Oh, that's Elaine." Well, it's you. Of course you can come in, right? They will help you. So, and that shouldn't just be your agents. That should be everybody, right? That's just a life lesson. But even so, more important when you're just dealing with your colleagues, and some of them are hard to deal with. So you just keep your mouth shut on those ones.
Yeah.
And just deal with that, and to never say anything, and you just always know where you are, right, with them. So I don't say, I know agents who've actually there's a lot of bad experiences. They've had a bad experience and they'll lay into that agent. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to do that, even though I want to, and it's hard not to. I'm not going to do that because I don't know where our next deal's going to be down the line and where they're going to sit on that end. So, in fact, I'll give you a good story. This just happened. And I've got an offer going on right now at a very, it's a high-priced property in West Vancouver. And people thought we were just out to lunch on it by about $600,000, and we believe in the property. And I had an offer, and this person came in really low, and then they said to me, I got a call from another agent who I would have thought maybe wasn't my best friend. And she said, "Elaine, so-and-so called me about your listing, asking about price, asking my opinion." And first of all, she said, "I don't really like them very much." But second of all, I told them it's worth that all day long. I would have priced it right where Elaine did. And you know what? That's because I've made sure to keep a really good relationship with her. and now she's backing up my listing for me. Like there's little extras that you don't even know are going to happen. So treat everybody well, but especially your fellow agents, and do whatever you can.
That's great advice, especially like Elaine said, your market, West Vancouver, is known for being a little more cutthroat. That's the nice way of saying it. So you all have thriving businesses. How do you say organize? Do you subscribe to an organizational system? I know organization is something that not all agents love. How would you describe how you stay organized, or what has been a tool that you've used that has helped you perform well as an agent? Start, Terry.
Yeah, I'm coming from engineering side, so I'm an Excel man. So I'm trying to use Excel sheets for everything. Some of my friends said that even Darius goes once to breakfast, he first turns off the computer and go for Excel sheets. That's why I'm trying to be organized. I'm thinking of every transactions as a project, and I manage it as a project from start till the end. And that's why I have to be organized. This is in my blood. I have to be like that, and I believe that you can make it as well. It's not you're not starting from scratch. You all have some skill sets. You're bringing that skill sets to the real estate and try to connect it and use it forward. Being organized is one of them.
Let's go.
So, Jenny's already laughing at this question for me because she knows.
By the way, shout out Jenny, one of the most organized persons.
Yeah,
I've
that's
ever
why.
seen.
So, again, almost on the daily, she pushed me in the direction of a CRM and keeping tabs on everything and everything being organized. And I've tried. I've really tried. I'm not the best at it. I'm the first to admit it. But what I am going to admit to being good at is having structure in my business in terms of what I do every day.
Like your routine.
My routine. Mm-hmm. So I'm in our office probably from 9:30 to 1 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock every day. And I do either paperwork that I'm back on, either that or prospecting or things of that nature, because I've really learned that in our business, it's really you're rich, you're poor, you're rich, you're poor, you're rich, you're poor. And when you get really busy, you forget to do the prospecting aspect of it because you're so involved in all the deals or whatever you're doing that when you complete all of those, it's like, oh shit, I'm out of a job. So it's really important to, even while you're really busy, to allot that whatever time you can, a certain amount, to calling past clients, phone calls, door knocking, meeting new people, things of that nature, just to keep the wheel in motion for when you complete this deal, you start this one, type of thing. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at that. I'm just saying I've learned that that is what needs to be done, and I'm still trying to do it myself.
Just a quick question. So
Yeah.
you find that hesitation for reaching out to people you haven't talked to for a really long time?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. You don't call them and say, hey, do you want to buy or sell tomorrow, right? Like, hey, how's the family? How's this? How's that? What have you been up to? I haven't talked to you in a while. I was just thinking about you. On and on. And then eventually they're going to say, hey, how's business? Oh, business is great. By the way, business is always great,
Yeah, it is. It's always great.
right?
You're
Not,
always saying,
I don't know, I don't have any
It's been a big
business, I'm
week.
down on my luck. Like, nobody's going to want to work with somebody that says that to them, just FYI, right? So, yeah, business is great. How's the market? Well, the market's, what are you looking to do? Buy, sell, invest? Oh, it's all different. Like give them some detail to an answer. But to answer your question, I think eventually they're going to ask you, and then that's when you can.
It's Vancouver, yeah.
Totally.
I'm going to answer your question in a minute, but I just want to, because this just happened to me, and I understand that feeling. I have a huge client, like he's a billionaire. Don't ask me how I managed to get him. That was back in 2004. And he bought a property on Belmont and Blanca. It's one of the most, it's the second most expensive home compared to like Chip Wilson's, right? They're actually competing, to be honest. It's a way better house than Chip Wilson's. But anyway, I always felt my insecurity is like, well, you know, reaching out to him, I'm not going to send him my newsletter. He's not that kind of guy, right? So, you know, he's completely different from most of the animals that I have, you know. So it's like, how to, and, but I really felt like I was dropping the ball by not connecting with him. And then while I was in Arizona and recovering from my hip surgery, which I'm standing on now, is a property popped up up in Whistler that I looked at. It's 48 million, and I went, wow, it's beautiful. And it reminded me of his house in Belmont and Blanca. And I thought, I'm going to send this to him, but I've got to send it right, and I've got to put the right spin on it. And I don't know how many of you may or may not be using ChatGPT, but it is so much better and smarter. It's my best friend, better, smarter than me. And I can say, look, I want to reach out to this guy. I feel really stupid. I haven't talked to him for so long. Here's what I want to say. Can you make it sound better? And it comes out with this beautiful. I'm like, oh my God, I sound so smart. Like, sounds like, and I'll change a couple words because that's too smart. And then, you know, and so, you know, I sent him this nice little email. I got a half an hour Zoom call with him, and he said, by the way, and this is a little lead for anybody. If you have a buyer for our Belmont property, if you can bring me an offer north of 100 million, because it's worth that, believe it or not, we'll sell it. And I'm like, okay. There I was sitting there going, do I send this to him? See what happens, right? You just have to do it. But do it right. Think about it and do it right. Now back to your question, which was?
Well, it sounds like you're using ChatGPT, which
yes.
is very helpful.
I love
but
it.
Any other organizational systems or like something
Yeah, I mean,
that you use to
ChatGPT
help
is a
performance?
tool. It's not an organizational system. So back to organization, I think we all struggle from that, especially if you're a social person. Probably you're not the engineer most cases, right? That usually you're lucky if you have both those skills. Most of us are either very social, and means that we're very disorganized because we're very social. So it is always a constant struggle, and it's a bigger struggle in a team, I'm going to say, because I'm dealing with other personalities. I like it my way, they like it their way. If we were on a team together, it would probably be hard, because I'd say, let's use this, and you go, I'll try, and then you wouldn't, and I'd be mad, right? So, you know, so it's tough to get everybody on the same page, but I use Reach CRM.
Yep.
I tried several CRMs before then. I really like Reach. Is it perfect? No. Is there things in there that I want that it doesn't have? Yes. But I can actually talk to the guys at Reach, and they're like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, well, actually, we're working on that. Or, oh, we'll take a look and we'll try and bring that in. You know, and they'll give us a call and we'll work, you know, you can work right with them. That is fantastic. Nobody else does that. So I really like Reach. I'm not using it to its potential, just like the brain, but you know, there's more there. I also like spreadsheets, and I use the Google spreadsheets, because now what I want to do, what I find is difficult, is when I have an open house and 30 people come through. It's like, oh my God, like, you know, who just came in? Who was the lead that I should be following up on? Who is the, you know, the old lady talking in my ear is never going to buy anything, right? Is wasting my time, and there's a good lead right there. Like, you know, it's a juggle in a busy open house, right? So I keep my little spreadsheet and I write it in there, and I'll say the lady with the hat, the person who looked like they were homeless, the person who was super friendly, who has, you know, blah, and I'll put little notes in there because I won't remember, and I try and get their number, and then I've got it all, and then my follow-up is so much better, and you know, so whatever. So I think recording as much as you can. I'm going to tell you, because I'm in a situation right now, record on your deals, like use your CRM or your Outlook or wherever your notes are, and say, I said this, we did this today. You know, I advised them this today, because if you end up in trouble, then you have great notes, and that's really gonna help you, because, you know, we all have potential. We know that. We're told every day of getting into trouble every time we open up our mouths out there, right? So keep track of everything. And it is a struggle, and I think we all will find our own ways that work for us, but stay on top of the technology That's constantly changing, and it's working in our favor, but you have to embrace it.
That's great. So what lessons did you learn last year that you're applying to your business in 2024?
It was same thing. Just leave the procrastination aside and
Just
do
do
whatever
it.
you do. Just do it. Everything that you think that it's good, that it can help you, do it. Actually, I'm rookie. I cannot advise you, but just letting you know that what happens to me, because when I started, I don't know why. Oh wow! I passed the Oakville University. I learned many things. Oh, I have to organize them. I have to learn from them again and again. I have asked my question from the managing brokers, and I'm in contact with them almost every day. Almost every day. I'm thinking of any transaction that comes up. If the buyer said so, if the seller wants something like that, I have to ask my manager. I will check everything, because you have good resources of information. Vault as well, the great managing brokers, which Michelle is not here now. It's her birthday today, and we will clap for her later, and everyone, like Sean, Jenny as a coach as well, not only the managing broker. Yeah, and I'm telling you that use your resources, take most of that, and then do what you can do.
What's a lesson you're applying to your business? Something you're tweaking?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that every year you're throwing what against the wall and seeing what has worked for you in the past, right? So whether it's Google ads or flyers or social media ads, phone calls, like whatever you get the best rate of return on is what I think that you should do the next year. If there was a handbook for a certain way to get leads and get deals done, I mean, we would all be doing the same thing, right? So I think it just depends on your personality and what works best for you individually. But that's just trial and error, and you'll figure that out over time, and just go with what works.
Elaine?
Well, I think that being adaptable and flexible when you're in a market that changes with the tides is really important. So, you have to constantly be ready to either pivot or to change or to look at what's going on. So, and you also need to, throwing technology in there as well, as embracing that and taking a look at that and going, how can I make that work for me, better? If you look at yourself and sort of sometimes the best way, like you'll probably do really well being a mentor, because it'll cement everything that you've learned, and then when you have to regurgitate it and tell somebody else, it just it solidifies it further. But what can I do better? How can I use? I've got so many agents out there, some of the older school agents that don't like touch base, right? That don't know touch base, and you're like, well, touch base is a tool. Like, understand the tools. How can I use this tool to my benefit? Touch base has so many little features in there. Like, I can say, there's an accepted offer on this property. They don't want you to put it in the notes there, because that's like, MLS doesn't want that, but you can put it in touch base to say, we have an accepted offer, and we're not doing any showings until this time, until subject removal, because we know it's gonna go. And then that way, it saves me 10 phone calls. That's touch base. Are people using touch base like that? Probably not. I think a lot of people aren't, because they're not really understanding the technology. And believe me, I'm not good at a lot of technology, and I'm terrible at social media. So if you're terrible at social media, find someone who's good at it. I've got Brendan, and he likes being in front of the camera. He likes posting things on Instagram. I don't like it, so at least find somebody who will do it if you're not willing to do it yourself. So
That's great advice.
I can add something for the
absolutely.
challenge. Actually, that 2023 wasn't the best year of the market. But set that aside. Learn from the market, but don't think too much about it. Do your best. Get out and do your best. That's the only thing that I did. That's why I get some leads. And try to be creative. You know what? If I tell an experienced realtor that, are you listing at the last week of December? Are you put your listing live there? Most of them say no, because it's just adding the days on market for you. But for a property, which I found that it was only one active listing there, I just wait for that. When it's sold out, I put my one alive right after that. And you know what happens? I just received accepted offer in 24 hours. And it's sold. It was before New Year. So try to be creative as well.
That's great, and that actually is leading to my next question, but maybe you can have something else, another nugget for this.
Sorry.
Oh, no, not at all. But I think that's great advice. So my next question was, obviously we have a lot of OpenU grads here today. What advice would you have for someone starting off their career in real estate?
It's lots of them. I'm trying my best. Actually, bring your skill sets. Love your job. If you love your job, you can do it. It was my passion from the beginning, so I can make it. I believe I can make it. You know what? Even in that ceremony, in the sales kickoff, I was surprised because she didn't let me know that I was the one, the rookie of the year, and the Rod was the rookie of the year of the 2022, and he sat at the same table, but never told me that I'm the rookie of the year. And when it goes up, it says, yeah, the receiver comes up. It was, you do your best. Don't keep that it's best thing that you can do, but do it. And try to be creative, try to be organized, use your resources. Use your resources. Go back to basics when the market is not good. This is the advice that Eric told me, go back to basics. And I try to build up my infrastructures as well. Try to find more people, talk to people. The real estate is not about properties, it's about people. That's where you have to go for that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, he just stole what I was going to say.
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. No, like if I could go back, like so, most of you I guess are just starting. If I could go back 12 years, I remember one client of mine when I first sent out my first newsletter. He reached out and said, yeah, you know, I might potentially be looking for something, and so he would drop his BMW off to get washed, and I would pick him up at the car wash and take him to a couple houses. Oh yeah, my car's ready now. Take him back to his car. Meanwhile, I could have been door knocking. I could have been making phone calls. So my point is, kind of read between the lines. Your gut instinct is probably the right instinct if somebody is kind of taking you for a ride in his BMW or not. So that's one thing. A lot of time, like Darius said, to talk to people. Get in front of people's faces. The more people you talk to, the more chance you have of somebody reaching out and saying, hey, look, I'm looking for so-and-so property, or I have a friend that's looking to sell something. So yeah, if I could do it again, the first year or two, I would talk to more people. I think I would be further ahead now in terms of a database, rather than concentrating on trying to earn $1. I mean, that's important too, but allot your time wisely. Make sense? Yeah.
Elaine, what advice do you
See,
have?
I'm going third, so you run
Yeah,
out. By the time you get I would say, you know, it's so important for all of us, whether no matter what you're doing, to have your routine. Find a really good routine for taking care of yourself and taking care of your business, and make sure that you're doing it like you're doing, you know, a call this time. Figure out what that is for you, because we're all individuals. It's not going to be the same. But make sure that, you know, you're getting up. Like I get up, I spend, because it's all I can do, 5 minutes meditating, because I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better at it. But 5 minutes meditating, you know, I read something inspirational before I start. I do 50 push-ups before I have my first cup of tea. Like, it's just kind of one of those things. And then I can look at stuff, and then I got to get my workout in. Like, I have to get my workout in. So that's really important to me, and I don't feel good unless I do that.
You just did 50 push-ups.
No, that's not a workout. That's 50 push-ups. So, you know, but and then, so am I going to be calling here? Am I going to be, focusing on this? What I'm trying to do is to have 3 top people that I want to connect with every day. And so how am I going to connect with them? So that's really important. Don't be a secret agent. Let everybody know you're a real estate agent, right? Like, tell everybody you're a real estate agent. Tell your family, your friends to refer you. It's hard to do it, but do it. Let them know. I've found that in my business, I've got people who've referred me 10 deals, and then my best friend can't do it. It's just not in her wheelhouse to do that, But you'll find those people who are good referrals, and then reward them and thank them and take them out and be in their face. Because most of our business, unlike yours, is referral, repeat and referral business. I'm going to say 90% of it is now. It's repeat and referral business. And that's so much easier to get than, I'm not a good door knocker. I have tried it, but I'm not good at it. So you see, we both got different skill sets, and we each find, our own way of doing it, and you'll have your own way as well. And then I think carry your enthusiasm with you. It's contagious. When you're out there and you're like, nobody wants a piece of that. But when you are like looking energetic and fun, and people want to be with you, they want a part of you. A lot of my business came from open houses in the beginning when I didn't have, when I came into the business, like I said, my best friend, one of my good friends was a realtor. Well, he was everybody else's friend too. And he'd had a really good track record. So no one's going to go, oh, let's list with Elaine when we've got, it's Brock's meeting, and it doesn't matter. With Brock's meeting, why are we going to list with Elaine? So I had to build it up. And then once you get the reputation, then people are like, oh, you're doing so great. And you go, yes, I am, right? Whether I am or not. Yeah. And, maybe you can sell my mom's house. So that's kind of how it builds upon itself. But open houses, don't discount them. They're great. Go in there, provide value to people, be friendly, have that good energy, and people will want a piece of you. That's the way I see it.
Wonderful, thank you. So we are at the top of the hour, but I did want to leave it for a little bit of Q&As. So I'm going to cut some of the questions a bit short, because I know Elaine's actually right in the middle of an offer right now.
Yeah.
Brendan's handling it.
You're okay. I'll ask the last question.
I'll make
then.
him do it. Yeah.
So open theme of the year for 2024 is Elevate. What does this word mean to you, and how can you apply it to your business or life? Any interpretations of that? Let's maybe start with Elaine this time.
Oh, okay, there we go. Thank you. Well, elevate can only mean, in improvement and rising above, whether that's, in business, whether it's your customer service level. We can always look back and improve it. Whether it's, your business process, which you can see we're all struggling with it. You're going to struggle with it. I don't think anyone's got the perfect blueprint. Personally, mental health is so important, and physical health is so important. So you're constantly looking at that. And then there's community, and I think it's so important to be giving back in whatever way that is for you. It could be big, it could be small, but you're giving back to your community. So I think you're always trying to raise the bar. That's what Elevate is to me.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think, pretty much sums it up. But away from business, obviously we're always trying to elevate our business and go to new levels in our business. That we were talking previously, and that's one of the reasons why I left my old brokerage, is because it was just kind of turned into being a boys club. And we would go to the office, and the biggest decision of the day was where we were going to go for lunch that day. And so when you get into a rut like that, then it's tough to elevate, right? So I knew that it was time at that point, and I'm still good friends with all these guys we went to lunch with. They're still going for lunches. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I left, is because I wanted to feel uncomfortable and elevate my business and myself. On the other hand, for elevate apart from business, we're in a tough world right now. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Somebody's charging you $200 more for something, you're gonna have to charge somebody $200 more. I think just the Oakwyn brand is just be a good person. Elevate the person that you are, and help continue on the Oakwyn brand. And I think it's out there now. I think people dealing with Oakwin agents and Oakwin agents dealing with each other, they know what they're all about. And you get automatic respect because of it. So I just think continue doing that.
Darius?
Yeah, from my side, I'm trying to elevate. At the beginning, I'm not like an experienced realtor, so I have to find out what was good for me last year. I have to elevate it to the next level and then go from that point. I will do it every year. I will do it for sure. Elevate is something inside us, and I think that we all do it for ourselves, for our business, and for our family as well. The other thing that I want to mention, I'm gonna go for more over delivery to my clients. We have to treasure our clients. This is the thing that I have to work with, because we are agents. The definition of agent is that someone who's agent for a client. So this is your definition. You have to go for them. You have to over deliver. You have to treasure them. This is the thing for me this year.
Wonderful. All right, let's do a very short Q&A, and then Sam's going to say some words. Is there anyone that have any questions that they want to ask or address? Don't be shy. Yes?
I'd like to know if any of you are using AI or thinking of it.
Well, I'm using chat.
Yeah, aside from chat.
We are looking.
Various, like, engineering kind of.
There's so many things, like more than I'm sure we all know, but I've been using, so with chat, I pay for it. I don't use the cheap one, I use the real one. And it has also a side of it where it actually can create ads too, so I'm playing with that, creating ads and things like that. We've actually utilized it to sort of do kind of some mock-ups of, when you've got a listing that looks bad, and then it's like, well, here's how the yard could look like, right? And it's like, they go in, it's just a disaster, but then you've got now a beautiful deck and a little, it just can show off what the listing could be. So right now at this point, that's where I'm using AI. I don't know if any of you guys went to the Pacific West, what was it, the Pacific West Convention? Did anybody go to that, or was it too soon for you? I think it was in October of last year. It was amazing. Go this year. They really focused on AI. I was like, oh my gosh, because what I'm doing is like this in a big world, right? Like I don't know what I'm doing. They just went, holy, like it was mind-boggling what's coming. And like I said, when you're talking about adapting and being flexible, like we have to be open to these things, because our clients are getting smarter than us. Like I can't tell you how many open houses that come in now where the client comes in without their realtor, and do you have a realtor? Oh yeah, but no, I like to look without them. Like they're getting more comfortable doing it without us. So we want to make sure that we're providing value. We've got to keep doing that, right? So you got to stay on top of it. Are any of you?
I'm pretty much bang on the same as Elaine. I use chat and playing with that, but other than that, I haven't used any AI yet. But obviously, like everything, you got to wrap your head around it and embrace it, because if you don't, somebody else will.
It's so big.
Yeah.
Like my husband does all our marketing. He uses it in there because he can just take it and it will fix everything. It's good, maybe good and bad, but bad for maybe people who had those jobs that would do that. It can do it for you. So there's so much that it can do. But again, it's going to depend on your business and where your focus is and how you run your business and what what you want to present too, right?
For AI, I think that it's a must-have now. If you know how to work with internet, you have to know how to work with AI. And I believe that we can do many things, regardless of just don't edit your email or something like that. It's good, so you can elevate it to a more proper way. But there was a good session on which Jenny was hosting for AI. It was 3 things that we can do with AI in real estate, I believe. I joined. I'm very happy to join that. I don't know if it's available on the vault, so everybody can use it or not, or I can ask Jenny now just to remind us that treatment. Yeah, you can even create your social media with that. You can use it for captions, for titles, for something like that as well. You can do almost many things, almost everything I'm saying. Yeah, with the AI.
Any other questions? Yeah?
Elaine, you mentioned that your business is mostly past clients and referrals.
Yes.
But you guys can answer too. Is there any special way you reward them every year, or what do you do for them?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's funny because I know there's some people that actually pay a referral fee to their clients if I don't. There's like, they're recommending me because they think that we did a fantastic job, and they're saying, oh my God, if you're gonna be a realtor, you should get Andrews Group in. And I'll take them out for dinner, or I'll do something like that. But I think staying in touch with your clients is tricky, right? So that's part of the systems, that you create, and we've, and part of, like when I say you've got your daily routine, that's part of in there. One of the things we keep track of is birthdays. It sounds so minimal, but we have a birthday card program. And so I get their birthday because you're probably not supposed to, 'cause it's probably private, but when they give you their FinTrack and you've got their birthday, then that goes into our calendar, and then, then it pops up. And now we've got such a big client base, it's like his birthday like every day. So they get a card with scratch and win, and we call them on their birthday as well. And I just reached out to a guy who's actually in the Cayman Islands. It's his birthday, and I said, oh, hey, and actually missed your birthday. Happy birthday, sorry. I was in Scottsdale, blah, blah, blah. Started a little conversation, and he said, oh, okay, yeah, we're just talking about maybe listing our house in North Vancouver. We're thinking we're ready to sell it. And that's happened to me. It happens 3 times a year from the birthday program. And, just put it in there and call them. So birthday program, a neighborhood update, we were utilizing all the stats that the board gives us. They're already there, they're done for us, and we've created our database into neighborhoods. So if you're in West Vancouver and you're in North Vancouver and you're in Burnaby, it'll send out to you just your little area, and you think, oh, Elaine's keeping me updated, and that comes out, once a month. So that's a really easy way.
Does Reach do that?
No,
Are you using a third party for that, or?
my husband.
So yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
That's a third party. So he's a web developer too. So he does our website, and he does all sort of he creates our brochures, we can do them custom. Like I said, we have printer, we have all that kind of stuff. We invested in that stuff so that we could turn on a dime, and I can print 10 brochures instead of having to do 50, because, and then, if I need another 10, I can print them. So that gives me great flexibility. But those little programs really do make a difference. For years, I advertised in the North Star News. I think it cost me about $35,000 a year, and my kids came on board and they're like, why are you in the newspaper? I go, you have to be in the newspaper or you don't exist. And they took them 2 years to talk me out of it. It hasn't made any difference not being in the newspaper. So, like, to your point, what's sticking, maybe what you think is sticking isn't sticking. Look where you're spending your money, because it's expensive.
Yeah.
I hope
Thank you,
that
Gibbs.
answered your question.
Appreciation.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with it. And it's such not a touchy subject, but a subject that there's no real answer for, because you never know. I mean, as much value as we bring, and as much sometimes money as we can help somebody get for their home, sometimes it's never enough, and there's nothing you can do and nothing you can give. But I've kind of come to the realization that, like, a lot of times what I do, if it's a repeat client for sure, is maybe I'll pay for their notary or their lawyer fees at closing, things like that, which is, a good $1,500, sometimes more. But I'm kind of thinking, like, and I'm just spitballing here, like, I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm kind of starting to go in another direction now, because that's kind of something that they never see.
Yeah.
And as much money as you're spending on that, like, it kind of, I don't want to use the word, it doesn't irk me, but I'm like, wow, when somebody has a bottle of champagne and they're on Instagram, we just bought a new house and I got this bottle of champagne that was probably maybe a couple $100, and it's all over. Nobody's saying my notary fees were paid for. Thanks, Francesco. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, is it too much sometimes? Again,
I find with the notary and the lawyer fees, when you look at the statement of adjustments, it's just a number.
Yeah.
And I find it really just gets washed.
that's what I'm feeling.
Versus imagine walking up to your client and go, here's $1,500.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Or a nice dinner out.
Totally.
Or
Totally. Yeah, like a $500 gift card to a nice restaurant downtown probably goes further than what I've been doing, done me, right? So I'll be changing now. I just made up my mind.
Well, like you're saying, sometimes talking things out and teaching and
Yeah.
mentoring, you learn when you're doing it. Serious?
Actually, you may not believe me, but half of my commission last year comes from referral, which is great for a rookie.
Yeah.
Very good.
And because, if you have a happy client, it's not something you have to gift for them. If you have a very happy client, they will bring more clients to you. And it happens while I was sleeping. There was in a party that said, hey, did something great to me. If you want to purchase one, you can count on him. And a day after, he called me. It happens many times. And the funny thing that I was offering a VIP concert ticket to this guy. It was a VIP, first row. I paid too much, believe me.
Taylor Swift?
But he said, no, yeah. He said, no, I'm good. I don't want it. Yeah. I don't know how I can be paid. But you know what? There are people, they don't want anything from you. They have to be happy. That's it. If you treasure your client, do your best for them, they will find it out. They understand. They are smart.
I do give a gift. I'm not that cheap, but and I try to find a gift that they're it's gonna be on their counter. Like I know Patrick O'Donnell, who does extremely well. He pays for their cleaning, and it's kind of like paying for their notary. It's like it's done, and they're kind of like, oh well, they don't even get to enjoy it. Sometimes you're paying for their clean out of their house, right? They're not even enjoying the cleaning, even though that's such a nice gift. It just doesn't go anywhere. Whereas, I try to find, like, I had a client who I know who really liked architectural design and that kind of thing, and I bought the Alessi kettle, which is about $250, maybe it's $300 kettle. It's a beautiful kettle. If you have that kettle, you put it on your stove. In fact, if you look at any of my website, you'll see I use that in staging, and I put it on everybody's pictures, because I have some staging stuff that we always put out, and that's one of them. And it's this beautiful Alessi kettle. She was through the roof, called all her friends. Oh my God, I can't believe Elaine gave me the Alessi kettle. I've always wanted it. It was like such a big deal. It was $300, right? So if you can find something that's going to speak to them, and sometimes what I do is when I'm doing their open houses, I'm looking at their house and what do they need?
I'll tell you something. I just got something, and that's why when you asked me that question that it resonated. So my mortgage broker, I just bought a new house, and my mortgage broker came over 2 weeks ago with a briefcase. And I'm like, Carmela, what is this? It looked like poker chips. It wasn't, but his name, mortgage broker, everything was on the front of this aluminum kind of poker chip looking briefcase. And I opened it, and it's all barbecue utensils. And he paid $150. He had to pay for, I believe, 10 at a time. So $1,500, you get 10 of these things, and your logo or your name is on that barbecue or in their pantry or wherever they keep this thing for
A couple of years.
yeah, for a long time. So
Just make sure they like the barbecue.
yeah, no, for sure. But I think it's a great idea, and it's literally 10 times cheaper than I was paying.
Yeah.
Right, so.
All right. Well, I just wanted to thank you three for coming in and doing this.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Good luck out there.